Hi, friends. Let's go ahead and get started. My name is Celeste. I'm the Director of Environment Oregon, a statewide environmental advocacy organization working for clean air, clean water, and open space. And we are part of a big organization called Environment America with state environment groups in 29 states all across the country. Thank you all so much for joining Green Kids today. I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about clean, renewable energy. And then my friend Kate from Environment Maryland is going to show us all how to make a solar oven out of a pizza box and some other materials. Sound good? All right, let's get started. So today we're talking about energy. So energy powers all kinds of things in our lives, and we use it every day. So look around you in your house. When you flip on a light switch, turn on the heat in the winter, ride or drive in your car, use your computer to hang out with me, or watch Frozen 2 for the 20th time, these things all require energy. The lights and appliances in your home require electricity. The heat sometimes comes from burning gas or electricity or oil, and most cars are powered by burning gasoline and oil. But where does that energy come from? Energy comes from a lot of different sources, but coal, gas, and oil are three forms that are really commonly used across the country. But unfortunately, these sources of energy are hard to get to, oftentimes dangerous and harmful for the environment to get to. And there's only so much of them, which means that we could run out. And in order to use them to make energy, we have to burn them. And that causes our climate to change, which is leading to extreme weather events and pollution in our air, making it harder for us to breathe. But luckily, there are other ways that we can power our lives without harming our planet, and we'll be talking about those today. So renewable sources of energy are sources that we will never run out of. Renewable energy is also the best choice for our planet because it does not harm the earth or our climate. So first, let's talk about wind energy. So when you step outside your house in the morning, you might be greeted with a gust of crisp winter air or a warm summer breeze on your face. Aside from the breeze on your face, how else can you feel and see the power of wind? Well, on a breezy day, if you look up, you might notice how the wind moves enormous tree branches. If you go to the lake or the ocean, you can see sailboats that use the wind power to move across the water. So how do we turn all of that wind into electricity? With a wind turbine. So this is a makeshift wind turbine, but these machines are specially designed to turn the wind that hits them into electricity. So when the wind hits the turbine, it moves the blades in a circle. And as the blades move, they power a machine inside the turbine called a generator. And that can produce electricity that we can use in our homes, businesses, and our everyday lives. Wind is blowing all the time. But there are some places that are windier than others. So large open spaces and places that are really high up are very windy. That's why you'll often see lots of wind turbines in open fields or on top of mountains. Another great place for wind turbines? By the water. We can get a ton of energy from the wind by putting wind turbines near or just off of our coasts. So now we know that the wind that's blowing all around us is a really great source of clean, renewable energy. And because wind blows most consistently at nighttime when the sun's not out, wind power is a really great partner to solar power. So next I want to talk about solar energy. Can you guess where solar energy comes from? If you said the sun, you're right. Solar energy comes from the sun. We can use the power of the sun for so many things in our lives that take energy. Solar energy can power our lights, our computers, our refrigerators, and so much more. When the sun is shining, it produces energy, which we most commonly experience as light and heat. So if you step from the shade into the sun, you feel warm. So how do we turn the light from the sun into electricity to power our lives? The key is in a special device called a solar panel. Inside, it has the technology to transform the light that hits it from the sun into electricity, which we can use to power appliances and lights and other things in our homes. Ask your parents. You might already be getting power from solar panels on your roof, or may have seen neighbors when you take your walks around the neighborhood with them on their roofs as well. And these days, more and more houses and businesses are putting solar panels on their roofs to tap into the power of the sun. The sun is a great source of renewable energy because it's clean and safe, and there's a lot of it. How much? Well, in just 1 hour, the sun hitting the earth provides more energy than we use in the entire world for a whole year. Wow. And it's clean and safe. So we know that burning things from the ground like oil and gas pollute the air and make you sick. Energy from the sun is virtually limitless, and it doesn't hurt our planet or our health. Energy plays a really important role in our lives. Just like when you walk in the sand and leave a footprint, we leave a footprint on the planet from using energy every day. We want to keep our footprint small. At Environment Oregon and Environment America and state environment groups across the country, we're working on a campaign to make sure that we get 100% of our energy from clean, renewable energy sources like wind and solar, and that we stop using energy that pollutes the earth and makes us sick. Plus, wind and solar power are really cool. So to show you how we can use energy from the sun, I've invited my friend Kate from Environment Maryland to show you how to make your very own solar ovens powered by, you guessed it, the sun. So let me turn things over to Kate.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kate, and I'm with Environment Maryland, and I am so excited to be here to show you how to make a solar oven out of a pizza box. So there's a few things that you're going to need. You will need aluminum foil, some cling wrap, some tape, like Scotch tape or packing tape, a ruler or a spatula. That'll just hold the lid up. You'll see in a minute. And then some newspaper to help insulate your oven. And of course, you're gonna need your pizza box. You'll also probably need an adult to help you with the cutting. So I am gonna adjust here so that you can see all the steps. Okay, step one, you're gonna take your box and you're gonna cut 3 sides. So this is the back, and then this is the side that opens. So you're gonna leave the back and you're gonna cut 1, 2, 3. So grab an adult to help you. And we're gonna take our scissors, I'm gonna put it down, and we're gonna cut right along those 3 sides so that we have a flap that'll open. So you can do this along with me if you're ready. And what we'll end up getting is something that's a little bit like a solar panel. So it'll be the reflector. Again, be very careful with this step. Some pizza boxes are easier to cut than others. Okay. This is why you grab a grown-up. I should have grabbed one to help me. And once you've done this step, what you should end up with is a panel that lifts like this. And I'm gonna bend this panel back, just like that. So now what we have is this hole here and my panel that lifts up, okay? Now, we need our aluminum foil. Aluminum foil is gonna reflect the sunlight onto the food. So I'm gonna take a piece of foil, and you see how this side is really shiny and this side isn't as shiny? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that the shiny side is pointing towards the inside of my box. So my shiny side goes on the inside here, and I'm just gonna lay it and fold it around my panel. Now, I have made a solar panel. That's what this is gonna be. And what it's gonna do is reflect the light into what's inside. But in order to warm our food, we need to trap that heat. You can't trap that heat with this huge hole. So I'm gonna take my cling wrap here, my plastic wrap, and I'm gonna cover that hole, and that's where the tape comes in, because we wanna make sure that we really sealed that off so that we hold in the heat. So I'm gonna take my roll here, just like this, and I'm gonna lay it, and I'm gonna be sure that I leave a little bit extra to tape. So I have my wrap, I'm gonna cut it, and try not to let it get all wrapped up on itself. And I'm gonna lay it, and I'll show you this in just a second when I get it here. I'm gonna lay it over this hole that we cut. So you see how I've laid it there and covered the hole, and now I'm gonna tape it down. And like I said, the reason for that is that that helps us really trap in the heat. Now, if you make one of these, or if you're making it along with me right now, and you start to use it, and you think it's just not warm enough, you can add another layer of your plastic wrap to the outside as well. So I'm putting it on the inside here to cover, and I'm gonna tape it around, but you can also do the outside. I am seeing a note that says, let's slow down and let everybody catch up. So I'm gonna pause, and I'm just gonna go through the steps. I'm gonna recover what we just did. So the first thing we did was we cut 3 sides out of the top, and we bent this back, right? So we cut the 3 sides, we left 1 side on. After that step, we took some foil, and we made sure that the shiny side is facing out. We wrapped that foil around here, okay? The next thing, and this is the part that takes a lot of time because plastic wrap is hard to work with. You take a big piece and you lay it to cover the hole in the inside. So I am now gonna take a little time to make sure I've really got it taped down. And if you want to, once people feel like they're ready for the next step, I'm gonna give it a minute, but if you're really ready, maybe you could put it in the chat that you're excited to see what the next step is. But I am working to tape this down, and I'm taping all the sides down so that I know it's gonna hold in the heat. Okay. Another important thing to keep in mind is that your solar oven can get very hot. Some solar ovens can get up to 200 degrees on the inside on a really hot day. So, step 1, make sure you're careful when you open it and go to take your food out. But the other thing to keep in mind is that normally they don't get hot enough to cook raw food. So you probably wouldn't want to cook like an egg in your solar oven, but it's perfect for warming up food or melting cheese. So one of my favorite things to make in my oven is a quesadilla. But I just want to make that reminder that they do get hot, so be careful, but also talk to an adult about the best thing to cook in it. So I am still working with my plastic wrap here, making sure I've got it really taped, really secure on the inside. And like I said, if you start to use it and it's just not warm enough, you can add another layer on the outside of the lid. Okay. What do we think? Are we ready for the next step? Maybe? Yes, I see a yes. Awesome, thank you. And please don't hesitate to say, whoa, slow down, crazy. This is not my first solar oven, so I tend to get really excited, but you guys totally feel free to put in the chat that you need a minute. Okay. So here's what we have now. So cool. Oh, I see one more minute. So I'm gonna give you a minute. I'm just gonna talk about what we've done. We have our foil lid here, which is gonna act as the reflector. So the sun's gonna hit it and it's gonna reflect into the food. We have our plastic cover here. That is what really traps in the heat. So you want this to be super tight and secure. And like I said, you can add a layer to the outside, to the top here, if you would like to. Okay. So I'm seeing that I have one loose spot. I'm gonna add one piece of tape and then we're gonna keep on moving. Okay. Awesome. Now the sun was out here earlier today and I was super excited because I was gonna show you this activity outside, but then it started raining. So I'll have to save my solar oven for another day. Next step, Now, we have the reflection, we're holding in the heat, but did you know that the color black, it doesn't look black on the screen, but it is, the color black helps capture more heat than any other color. So if you're outside on a really hot day and you're wearing a black t-shirt, you might get hotter than someone who's wearing a white t-shirt. So we're gonna take a piece of black construction paper. You might need 2, depending on the size of your pizza box. I have 2. And I'm just gonna lay them in the bottom. So what that's gonna do is, again, help capture the heat to warm up whatever food is in here. So I've taken 2 pieces, I've just laid them in. You can tape them in if you want, but I find that as long as you lay them in, you don't really need to. Good. So we've got foil, plastic, construction paper. And that's because that's going to help us capture a bunch of the heat. Now this step is optional, but you might want to try it and see what you think. So again, as we talk about capturing heat, you know that heat can escape from an oven. What happens when you open an oven door or open the door to a really warm room? The heat rushes out. So one way that we can help insulate our pizza box is to take some newspaper and just roll it up. So I have a little roll, and I'm going to use a piece of tape to hold it. Like I said, this is optional, so if you don't have newspaper, don't worry about it. I have my little roll here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this right along the side to help insulate my box even more. And so I'll put one on each side, one here, one here. I see a weight on the chat, so you can do this if you want. You can tape it in. And all it does is offer some more insulation to really hold that heat in and make sure that we're getting the most power from the sun as we can. So I'm going to tape it in. And I'm going to pause briefly and see if there's any questions so far, because we are coming to the part where it's almost ready. So I want to take a minute and see if there's questions about what we've done, or if in any of these steps you've run into a problem, because we can take a minute to answer any questions you might have. Here's my other roll. Are there any questions? What do you do with the paper? So the black paper, the black construction paper, is lining the bottom of the box. So that's where you're gonna put your food. So you're lining the bottom of your box with the black construction paper, because that's gonna really draw in all the heat. The newspaper, you just make a little roll and place it in the inside bottom of the box, like so. And what that does, I didn't tape that one, is hold in the heat and offer a lot of great insulation to make sure it stays super, super warm in there. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and tape in this one piece here. Okay. There we go. Now, we have a few pieces. We have our foil reflector, our plastic wrap. We open it up and we have our black paper and our insulation, right? So now here is the cool part. When you're ready and when you have a warm, sunny day, you're gonna put your food in here. Like I said, I love to put a quesadilla. So I take a tortilla, I put a bunch of cheese in it, I fold it over, I put it in. So let's say I put my tortilla in. I'm gonna close my oven, seal my box, and now, this is the cool part. Well, it's all the cool part, but this is another cool part. You're gonna go outside with your box and you're gonna notice where the sun is coming from. So you're gonna move this around until you find the best reflection where you are getting so much sun reflecting off of this panel. If your panel's having a hard time staying up, or if you just don't have enough of an angle here, you can take a ruler or a spatula and you can help sort of prop it up. Mine doesn't need that because I made it so small. I made the panel so small because I wanted it to be really concentrated. But if you have a bigger box and make a bigger panel, you might need to prop it up. For mine, I'm able to sort of angle it how I want. And what'll happen is the power of the sun will come down. It'll bounce off of this reflector into the box. And that's the importance of making sure you've got it really getting the sun hitting it so that it'll go down in there. We have our plastic that's gonna trap in the heat and it's gonna warm up your food that's in here. Now, the time that it takes to warm the food will be different depending on how hot it is and how much sun there is and what you're warming up. I find that generally, if I check it every 5 minutes or so, that's a good thing. So you can just come over, take a look, maybe open it, but you know that's gonna let the heat out. But that's the great thing about the plastic, is you can see through it. So you can come over, look in, and see if it's ready to go. So that is your solar oven pizza box. It is a great thing to have on hand, and it's perfect if you have leftover pizza that you took out of the box. It's a great way to warm that pizza up the next day. So I'll turn it over to Celeste, but I'll stay here if there's any questions or feedback, or if you need to see any of this again.
Does anybody have any questions for Kate while we have her? Just click the raise your hand button, or you can put a question in the chat box. Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much, Kate, for teaching us how to make a solar oven using a pizza box. That's awesome. And thank you all for joining Green Kids today. I had so much fun with you. I am really excited to see you the same time next week. We're going to talk about gardening, and we're going to have a special guest. Oregon State Representative Janine Salmon will show us how to make an earthworm bin. It'll be so fun. So I hope to see you then. Bye, friends. See you next week.